Good afternoon and welcome to a rather blustery Riverside Park where JED-FOREST welcome Edinburgh Accies. Both teams have had a week off, so should be rested, recuperated and ready for an exciting game of rugby. As always, let's have a word with the coaches before we go to the commentary box.
We're really looking forward to these next three games, particularly today, Jed away, Musselburgh next week and then Hogg away before Christmas. We're kind of trying to take our season in 3-game chunks and it works out quite well. And yeah, we're excited about the challenge that we'll get down here today.
We've trained well this week up in Armstrong on Tuesday and back down at Riverside on Thursday. We've still got about 8 or 9 first team players off at present, which is disappointing. You know, the likes of Callum Young, Nick Stingle's out in Dubai just now playing for Germany. Clark Skeldon's off just now as well. So some big players for us. Rory Marshall's partner's having a baby today as well. So fingers crossed that goes all right. So yeah, but it's a must win for us today. We've been under a lot of pressure the last few weeks and we really need to come up with the goods today. That's as simple as that.
I just think it's great to come down to a proper rugby club, and I mean that in the sense of facilities, everything on site. You know, we're really spoilt in the Borders, to be honest, and sometimes you notice that when you go away. But we're excited about coming down here. The boys love playing down here. Between the Premiership and National 1, we've played Jed over the last 10 years and there have been some great games. So.
Your past couple of games, you've had some really positive phases of play, yet you've had some mistakes. 2 tries knocked off the last time you played. Surely you've got to try and pick yourself up from that.
Well, and that's the biggest thing for us just now, you know, it's to get that camaraderie and team spirit going again, and also recognise that want and desire to win the game is the most important thing, especially at Riverside. It's not good enough just to make a single break. We've got to stay connected and get on the end of those passes and make sure we score the tries. I mean, I think last time we played at Accies we had 12 line breaks, and that was only in the second half because we didn't play in the first half. So, you know, the chances will be there today. It's just about taking them.
You got off to a flying start in your last game against Aberdeen, 4 tries in 20 minutes. Are we looking for the same again today?
It would be nice, but I think it'll be a bit harder today. I suppose it was the bonus of back-to-back games against Aberdeen. We got to do a bit of a review and understand a bit more about them and sort of put a plan in place. So we've got a bit of a plan today, but we'll see what the conditions bring and see how we go.
And there's a lot of changes for you, as you mentioned. There's some changes from Edinburgh Accies. Both teams have got access to Super 6 players. Is that going to make a difference today? Yeah,
Finn Scott starts at hooker again. Finn's a good young little laddie as well that's obviously been involved in the Super 6 this year. And we've got Matt Russell here as well. Matt's 18-year-old and really one for the future is what I've been told. Matt's been brilliant with us. He came down here for about the last month and trained with us, so he really knows everything as well. So I'm really excited to see somebody like him and Gary Monroe playing 9 as well. The two pairing them together should hopefully, if the wind dies down and it stays fair, then we should see a good attacking game of rugby.
For us, we've got Sean Gunn back up from the Southern Knights, which is great. Sean played with us for 3 or 4 years prior to going to Super 6. Other than that, we're pretty consistent with our club guys, and to be honest, we're pretty keen to be consistent with our club guys. You know, they're the guys that they started the season, and they're the guys that are going to see us through to the end.
A warm welcome on the coldest of days here at Riverside Park, where JED-FOREST look to try and right a few wrongs and avenge the defeat they suffered at the hands of the visitors Edinburgh Accies all the way back on September the 11th in what was both teams' opening game of the season. This afternoon, JED-FOREST line-up was Robbie Gibb replacing Aidan Bambrick on the wing from the defeat to Selkirk a fortnight ago. The other changes in the back see Monroe starting at 9 with new face Matt Russell grabbing the 10 jersey to get some consistent rugby after a Super 6 season with Heriots. There's also a return to the side for Dom Buckley. In the forwards, Gary Monroe will be glad to see the return of Jed's top try scorer Paulo Ferreira in the front row to help steady the set piece, which was decimated by Selkirk a few weeks ago. Roth is also going to partner Gregor Law in the second row, and there's a return for the temperamental Darren Gillespie, who starts at blindside. A player with an abundance of grit and skill. The Jeddards will be hoping that he brings the correct balance of both this afternoon, and they'll be hoping that he doesn't add to the 6 yellow cards that the team have already suffered this season. In Accies, they've got a lot of players who look to try and impose themselves on this game. None more than Jamie Soule, who is the son of Grand Slam winning captain David Soule. He has contributed alongside the missing Rudy Campbell this afternoon, but he's contributed to 10 tries out of the 45 tries that Edinburgh Accies have scored this season. Jamie Looms will be looking to dictate play with a range of kicking and also add to his tally of 49 points. Just outside him, Robbie Kent at outside centre has a lot of gas and a lot of experience from his time in Super 6 with Stirling County, and he's got 6 tries this season so far, so the Jed defence will be tested. The likes of Buckley and Young in the centres will be having to keep a keen eye on him. But alongside me this afternoon we've got Robert Hogg to provide his expert opinion on everything Jed and everything rugby orientated. Probably will be more focused on the backs this afternoon, but he's alongside me here. And JED-FOREST led onto the field by Captain Gregor Young. And as we mentioned in the build-up, he's going to be joined alongside Don Buckley in the centre. So he's got a slightly different player to Rory Marshall, who he's been used to partnering alongside so far this campaign. Don Buckley brings a little bit of a different dynamic to this JED-FOREST team. As Michael Todd just scarpers along to his touchline here, and the man in the middle, Rudy Campbell, who was also officiating the Kelso Melrose Border Derby last Friday night. He's got another Border team, and he's going to be officiating Edinburgh Accies versus JED-FOREST in the Tenants Premiership. And play is about to get underway, and you can see a big range of towering forwards that Edinburgh Accies have. They've got a lot of athletic, dynamic players, none more so than number 6 Jamie Soul. As play gets underway here at Riverside Park, and it's hoisted high, but it's been well gathered there by JED-FOREST, and they look to try and just start the game positively and try and get a better head of steam than they did against Selkirk. Obviously a very patchy performance against the Suitors a fortnight ago, which has obviously seen a few changes in the squad. But it's going to be an interesting game against Edinburgh Accies, who currently sit 3rd in the Tenants Premiership, in the hunt for the playoffs at the end of the season. And in conversations with head coach Ian Bertisman at the start of the game, obviously it's something that Edinburgh Accies are focusing on, but know how difficult this game is going to be as Gary Monroe just tries to hoist it high. We know he's got a very good kick there, but the wind going from left to right here at Riverside Park, and you can see the ball just getting held up in the air, and not a lot of inroads made, but they're going to try and stick it up the jumper and give it to big Paolo Ferreira, who's returning to the squad this afternoon. And there's a good line there from JED-FOREST again. It's Finlay Scott looking to try and pick a line as Russell is looking to distribute well, but it's came back on an Edinburgh Accies side, and it's Callum Reid who's got the ball in hand now. And it's now Edinburgh Accies with the ball in hand, looking to strike and attack for the first time, and ex-Boroughmuir flanker Matt Walker now trying to make a little bit of inroads now, and it goes further out there to Robbie Kent, who's got 6 tries so far this season. Obviously knows his way to the try line. He's joint top try scorer for Edinburgh Accies alongside Rudy Campbell, who's missing this afternoon, as they look to try and make some territory but get the advantage from the penalty. But a positive start from Jed. They came out pretty well, apart from the kick from Gary Monroe, which is a lot down to the conditions here this afternoon. But you know, they looked assured, but they've coughed up ball, and it shows how dangerous Edinburgh Accies is when they get the ball in hand. Yeah, absolutely. That was a great start there from Jed. Looks like they came out the traps firing there. Yeah, definitely, but it was a good penalty, good turnover, and looks like Accies are looking to go for the touch, so they're showing early incentive to try and get 5 or 7 points. Oh well, maybe not. Get points on the board from the line out here. Yeah, they're a team that can certainly score tries. They've got 45 tries so far this season, 8 try bonuses in the league, which obviously dwarfs the 2 that Jed have. Not been able to really get going so far this season. JED-FOREST have only won against Musselburgh at home and Aberdeen Grammar away. Obviously perched towards the bottom end of the table, but they'll be looking to try and make home advantage count, as it's snaffled at the line out by Ben McNeil at the tail. So panic stations averted and guards stood down for now, as Gary Monroe just pierces that ball into the wind, and that's a good clearance kick, a good exit there, because you don't really want, when there's a headwind like this, you don't really want to be passing it 10 yards back to your 10 to kick back into the wind, because you will lose a lot of territory. So that's a good exit from Gary Monroe. Yeah, I think Jed need to try and keep it tight here playing the wind, and Gary with a pretty decent kick there after the Edinburgh Accies didn't make the distance with the penalty. So and again a nice line out, one back there from Jed, so all the pressure starts off here with Jed, and they're playing some good phases here. Yeah, that's 2 line outs against the head that Jed have managed to turn over back on their side, as Gary Monroe is just looking to try and go on the blind side there, and Paolo Ferreira looking to, well, he wasn't going to go the distance anyway, but he was going to set up the platform, and he's done just that, and the ball's being recycled now as it goes over towards the stand side here. A very blustery Riverside Park, as Blake Roth has just been turned over. the ball's going to come to Neil Armstrong, and he's found Robbie Kent, and Robbie Kent's just been met with a passive tackle there from Gregor Young, but he does eventually get taken down to ground. And Jamie Troop, the scrum half for Edinburgh Accies this afternoon, just trying to find some options from the ruck, and digging about in there and just trying to get the Jed bodies out of the road. And again, Callum Reid is looking to carry and make some hard yards, and Robbie Kent find themselves in a congested area as he kind of twists and turns and pirouettes, and I think the dizziness is probably paid to the fact that he's been snaffled there and jackled on the ground. And that's good work on the floor from Dom Buckley, who's equally as comfortable in the back row, obviously at 12 this afternoon, but it shows you what he can bring to JED-FOREST with these sort of tackles, and these, he likes to get his head and his hands into the dirty areas. Yeah,
good pressure there, especially from Gillespie rushing up on the line, making a good hit, and then Buckley there obviously with a turnover. That's going to be key for Jed.
They'll be very buoyant in the fact that they've been able to make the ground here, and they've got a nice platform to try and strike from now.
Yeah, it's a great controlled platform they've got there. They've got Craig Cowan at the back there, leading by example, the forward drive there, and loose enough there. So yeah, they're in good position here, and it's certainly a different Jed squad for what we've seen against Selkirk.
Definitely look a little bit more directed as Buckley looks to put boot to ball, finds a little gap on this far side. Robbie Gibb is the man trying to chase that down and hunt that down, but it's been well gathered there by Vincent Hart. The Edinburgh Accies fullback was over there just covering the space, and he managed to get the ball secure there for Edinburgh Accies, and now it's them who are camped inside their own 22, and they're going to have to try and kick clear as they look to try and put the ball through the hands and now kick it downfield. And it's been well covered back here. They'll have to keep a watchful eye on these high balls, because then you can hear the wind just whistling around Riverside Park as Lewis Young now gets the ball in his hands for one of the first times this afternoon, and the ball's getting stuck up on the clatchy ground here after all the wind and rain that there's been, and it's becoming a bit of aerial ping pong, and Gary Monroe's having to sprint back to his own goal line to try and gather this ball, just watching it maybe go over the line. It certainly looks like it's travelled a little bit too far, so it's going to be a restart here from the try line, which into a headwind, this is going to be a very difficult exit play, but it's almost a smart kick from Edinburgh Accies there to kick downfield, and maybe just had the right balance on that there.
Yeah, they're obviously going to use the wind to their advantage there, and that was a great kick there from Jamie Looms. So it's brought Jed back into the pressure line here, red zone for Edinburgh Accies.
And now it's Neil Armstrong who's carrying up the ball there, a man who made his debut against Jed in 2012, so 9 years ago he made his debut against JED-FOREST, a place he's familiar with, as the ball's been spilled out there, and big Clem Leclerc has got the ball in hand and just passes it on, the ex-Selkirk prop, managing just to show a little bit of skill to get the ball through the hands there, and it's going to be brought back for a penalty. So from that kick, Edinburgh Accies have managed to keep a lot of pressure. JED-FOREST just encroaching on that offside line, and perhaps an opportunity here for, you would have thought, 3 points, but they're going to kick to the corner. And this is where it's difficult, because the game's in its really early stages, but obviously the wind is playing a fact in their mind there, and they're thinking about how to use this wind, and Edinburgh Accies are going all out to try and get tries.
Yeah, they seem to be playing very positive here. As you say, that seemed to be an easy 3-pointer there, but they obviously have a lot of faith in their line out here, so be interested to see if Jed can defend this.
It's a scrappy line out, and it's came the back there to Callum Reid, who's just plucked the ball from the air. An old school line out there from Edinburgh Accies, never went to a lifter. Let's come back on Edinburgh Accies' side, and again trying to use some of their burly runners to get round as Looms is standing just off the ruck there. It then came round to Hamish Janes, and he's been wrapped up by Gregor Young. So Edinburgh Accies starting to make some inroads. If they can get some quick ball here, they've certainly got an opportunity over there, and it came over there to Jake Mills. And again, just getting closer and closer to this line as they try and punch it up through Sean Gunn, the Southern Knight prop, who's back at Edinburgh Accies to see the Premiership campaign with them until Super 6 perhaps reignites again. But Edinburgh Accies looking to try and steady this phase of play and look to just use the big forwards and the big runners there, as Jamie Soule looks to try and add to his tally of 4 tries so far this season, but he's held just short there. As it goes back blindside, there's an opportunity here. They go tight to Kent. Kent looks like he's squirmed over. The referee's got a good look at that, but it's just short of the line. So almost there from Edinburgh Accies, and they're digging about in there, and Troop is looking to try and get the ball. It's came at an Edinburgh Accies runner, And we've got Rudy Campbell in there, who's got his head in to that breakdown, trying to see where the ball is. And I think he's signalled there that ball has been held up on the line. Good defensive play there from JED-FOREST to thwart Callum Reid, and that was dangerous but persistent structured play there from Edinburgh Accies as they look to try and make some inroads. But over on the far side we've got Rudy Campbell speaking to assistant referee David Changling, and rightfully so, the try was not awarded.
Accies looked to build the pressure there, so they've done well to get that to be a dropout, clear the lines a bit, so takes the pressure off. But yeah, that was good play from Edinburgh Accies, and I thought Callum Reid had just snuck over there in the corner, but we'll have to see what happens here. It's scrum 5, I believe.
5 metres out underneath the sticks. They've loaded the right hand side of this scrum. You've got Looms, you've got Armstrong, Kent, and you've got Janes as well. So they've got strike runners on that side. And the scrum looks to be getting charged back slightly there from JED-FOREST. It looks like it's broken away round the side. Edinburgh Accies almost over the whitewash there, but again, good dogged Jed defence yet again keeps them away. And Troop now, he finds his fly half looking to try and dance inside Dom Buckley, but he's not able to on this occasion. He's on his back. He looks like he's been held up there by a Jed defender. And Edinburgh Accies looking to try and just dig this ball out, and they're having to work very hard to do that. They dive over the line, and that looks like that's going to be a try for Neil Armstrong, the inside centre, who is being in those tight areas. The man who made his debut against Jed in 2012 gets the opening score of this game, and for the last 2 or 3 minutes, or you'd have to say, that try was coming because they were persistent, they were camped on that line, but it was invited from a Jed error from the restart.
Yeah, that was a good finish from Neil Armstrong there, and what looked like to be a breakaway scrum. Callum Reid at the back, but yeah, as you say, it's been coming the last 5 minutes or so. Although Jed's discipline in defence has been pretty decent, they just couldn't hold them there, and that's a good early confidence builder for Edinburgh Accies here, and what looks like a pretty straightforward kick for Jamie Looms.
Trying so hard to resist any astronaut jokes for Neil Armstrong, but he certainly found the space there.
Oh, great.
I'm here all night. But it's going to be a conversion attempt here for the vice-captain Jamie Looms. His first attempt at goal this afternoon, and it's a right-footed kick, and it's got the help from the wind, but it just curls round, and it's the opening scores for this game for Edinburgh Accies, 7 points to 0.
Yeah, they had a lot of pressure under there, but as you say, it seems to be a couple of silly errors, creeping offside from Gillespie earlier on, and from there Edinburgh Accies punished them, so they'll have to keep the head. It's all positive there, but that's another breakaway there.
Broken play round. That's weak tackling in midfield from JED-FOREST as the big galloping Finlay Simpson manages to just burst through the heart of the Jed defence, and Edinburgh Accies certainly got their tails up now as Looms now looks to try and weave his way out of trouble. Big Finlay Simpson, who's played a little bit of rugby with Watsonians in the Super 6. He was actually played for Jed Minis, believe it or not. I didn't know that.
No,
but Jed Minis, and he was at Hoyk High School before he went through and played his rugby in Edinburgh, the big second row. So obviously he's familiar with the Borders' appetite for rugby, and showed there the skill set of the big second row, managing just to burst through the defence. The big number 5 with the head guard. And certainly trying to stamp his authority, but it just shows you what Edinburgh Accies have. They've got a nice balance of good strike runners, but also ball players in the forwards. They've got a lot of good players there.
Yeah, there seems to be a ton of pace there for Finlay Simpson, going up like a galloping gazelle there. Yeah, that was a good break, but again, ill discipline from Jed at the breakdown gives Jamie Looms, and what seems to be a bit of calmer wind, gives him another chance to get another 3 points on the board for Accies, and it's a pretty strong start.
Right-footed kick, it certainly looks like. Again, it's got the accuracy, so 5 points for him so far this afternoon, a 10-point lead. Good restart there from Gary Monroe, and it's came back on almost came back, but it's Matt Walker, who is a bit of a sevens exponent as well for Boroughmuir. They're playing his rugby for Edinburgh Accies now, so he likes to get the ball in hand, but it's now broken field running from JED-FOREST now as they look to kick downfield. They've got a lot of good players running after this. They've got Lewis Young, who's put a little bit of pressure on the Edinburgh Accies covering player. Good play from Mason Cullen to just find a little bit of space, and that's one of the skills that he's got. He's electric, he's got good pace, but that's part of the reason he's been picked up and playing for Edinburgh under 20s. Gary Monroe just to roll the ball in, and Scott Tomlinson, the JED-FOREST coach, will be wanting a lot from him this afternoon as it finds Gregor Young, the captain. He looks to just go round the outside, of Ben Appleson, but he's not able to on this occasion, but it's been well swept up there by Craig Cowan, but he's got a lot of those baby blue and white hooped shirts round about him. There's Roth now, just wearing the more unfamiliar number 4 on his back after the late withdrawal of Clark Skeldon. Now Paxton's found Finlay Scott on this side, and Monroe with a great pass, very Gary Armstrong-esque on this side. Robbie Kent back on the inside, looking to offload. Craig Cowan is there, and Craig Cowan's going to go over for a score. A good fast play there from Jed, keeping the ball alive, and that's what they can do in broken field running.
Yeah, that was a great try from Craig Cowan. Great support play initially. Gregor Young to Robbie Shearer-Gibb, and then looking to give back to Craig Cowan, who's always there or thereabouts, and that was a good try for Jed. They needed that, actually. It was the right time for it, so yeah, that's good. Let's they can build from here. That was good from Jed. That was good positive play. Brings them back in the game.
And they had to show it with the boot there. It certainly had the legs on it, but it just glances in front of the posts as Monroe gets the ball out to Russell. Russell bringing Paxton back in, just on the inside shoulder there. A hard working prop as well, the young plumber from Jed. And it's Buckley now who's found a little gap there. He's found a big gap, and he's managed just to find Darren Gillespie on the shoulder, so the two new additions to the team from the defeat at Selkirk are linking up well there as Russell finds Gregor Young on the shoulder. Now just a little pop pass from the fly half finds the JED-FOREST captain. Now it's his brother Lewis finding Mason Cullen back inside. And you would say that the sting from this passage of plays perhaps just came away slightly as there's a little knock on from Paulo Ferreira. The referee's going to bring that back, but fair play to Jed, very, very positive, and they look like a different team than the one I seen a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think Accies will be thinking themselves lucky there. The pressure Jed put on there initially from the break from Buckley, and they looked like they were in a position phase-wise to at least score another try there, so I think Accies can consider themselves lucky there.
And Darren Gillespie having a little chat with Clem LeCour. A little pat in the back to Grant Paxton as well. I'm sure Paxton probably won't say too much back to Gillespie. He's a very vocal addition to the JED-FOREST squad, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly adds a bit of voice in the park. So yeah, and listen, that's great. Have somebody like Darren with his experience there. It's amazing how much a difference it can make to a team to have somebody who's been there and done that, and who adds a bit bite to the team. So it's good to have him back on board, certainly. Yeah,
he's a really naturally gifted rugby player. He's obviously played a bit of time with Kelso as well. JED-FOREST, he's had experience with Scotland 7, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt as he packs down in the number 6 jersey for JED-FOREST, just starting to anchor down, and you can see that scrum being marched back, and Gary Monroe just all over Callum Reid at the back of that scrum. And good pressure from the JED-FOREST 9, but it has came back on an Edinburgh Accies side, and it is going to be Vincent Hart to kick downfield. He's not found too much distance with that, but he's found some JED-FOREST hands as Robbie Shearer-Gibb looking to just use his pace and get on the outside, and he's almost evaded the challenge there of Edinburgh Accies. He almost found the gap there and got round, but it was a good defence there from Hamish James. And back to the action, Roth manages to pluck it from the line out, and JED-FOREST looking to try and show their muscle now and show what they can do up front as Big Gillespie has just taken a few Edinburgh Accies jerseys across the line with him, and the balls came back there on a JED-FOREST side, looking to just use the big runners and the big pick and go in these close quarters, and big Paulo Ferreira now looking to try and get his way over the line to get his 6th try this season, and it looks like he's got the ball down according to the referee Rudy Campbell. He's got his hand in the air, and there's a few disappointed Edinburgh Accies faces, but Paulo Ferreira does get his 6th try this season, and you can see from the smile on the face, the man who's came back to the squad as he showed up the scrum, he gets his 6th try, and that's Paulo Ferreira's distance, isn't it? About 30 millimetres out for the line.
It may be his distance, but it's very effective, and there's a reason why he's a top Jed scorer there. That was a great try. Very, very, very calm in play in phases, and he done well there. So, yep, he'll be a very happy man with that. So, yeah, that was good.
Gary Monroe looks like he's got the accuracy on this one, and it's snuck over the bar. Gary Monroe slots it from the touchline into a headwind. No bother to the scrum half for JED-FOREST, and he adds the 2 points. And now Roth looking to try and marshal it over the gain line. He's not been able to do that too much, but Ferreira finds Law looking to just brush off Janes on the wing for Edinburgh Accies. And Roth again doing a powering of carrying so far. He's done about half a dozen carries so far in this game, so he's certainly up for the fight as Monroe just puts that ball on a plate for the attacking runners, and Law looking to try and get his big mitts on the ball, but he's not able to on this occasion. And the breakdown right in front of us here as Troop is digging about and burrowing in that ruck and finds Soul just on the fringes, and he's a dangerous player in these areas. And again, Troop looking to get the ball going, but Rudy Campbell's going to bring that back for a penalty, and maybe a little bit of chat back there from Gillespie as well. And the penalty's been reversed. How much of a difference does Paulo Ferreira bring to that scrum as opposed to what you have had in certainly against the fixture against Selkirk? Not to pinpoint individuals, just the scrum as a whole.
No, Paulo's huge. I mean, ever since he came to the club from South Africa, we were never renowned for having the best scrum, but as soon as Paulo came, he's totals tightened that scrum up, and he is a big miss when he isn't playing. He'll give you as much as he can on the day. He probably wouldn't be able to produce a full 80 minutes, so yeah, he's keeping that scrum solid, and Rockies aren't able to counteract it here, so it's good to have him back.
Certainly knows his way to the try line as well for a prop. As Russell just finds Buckley almost had a little gap there, but manages to bring Gregor Young into action and employ him on this occasion to just truck the ball up as Gregor Law put to ball. It was meant. It was if anybody was watching that thinking that that's a horrendous kick, that was meant to be from Gregor Law, who's brought the first half to a close. It takes a half-time score here to JED-FOREST 12, Edinburgh Accies 10. It's a very, very big 40 minutes for the men from Riverside Park. And Gary Monroe is the man who's going to start proceedings for the second 40 minutes here as he just rifles that ball right into the corner of the field, and it's returned with a vengeance from Edinburgh Accies. And it is going to be Callum Black, the captain, to throw back into the line out, and they've certainly managed to get their arrows straighter this time as Callum Reid now looks to try and puncture this JED-FOREST defence. And they look to now go wide. And I think they found Jamie Soul there, who's just dropped the shoulder to try and enforce himself. It wasn't Jamie Soul, he's running round now, but it is on Vincent Hart now. Vincent Hart looking to just go in between Buckley and Young, but he's not able to. And it's came back to Troop. Finds Soul this time. He pops up in the loose there. And Troop finds Looms. Looms has got a big runner on the shoulder there. And it's Darren Gillespie who was playing. He does play on the edge, but he was just the other side of the edge there and gives another offside. And a penalty to start the half here for Edinburgh Accies, who look like they've came out with a little bit more intent and obviously playing into the wind this second half. The wind has picked back up again, as you can see the flags fluttering about at Riverside Park, so it's going to be a really interesting game, because sometimes with the wind at your back it can actually, it can do you more harm than good as you try and use it too much.
Yeah, it can win and lose you games, but that was as you say, that was a good start from Edinburgh Accies. They've obviously sorted the line out, but just again ill-disciplined. Darren just being too overly keen there in the ruck, and that sets Edinburgh Accies up in the 22.
Very tight, intense game so far. 12 points to 10. A very slender lead. Big Clem Leclerc at the back of the line out. He played his 100th game for Edinburgh Accies against Glasgow Hawks on the 30th of October. He's been there for a few years after he left Selkirk. Troop to roll the ball into the scrum. And it does look a little bit steadier on this occasion, as we've got Ben Appleson just prowling over this far side as Robbie Kent looks to just play off the shoulder, and it is going to be Appleson. Appelson's over on this far side, but the ball has drifted forward, and that's a let off there for JED-FOREST, because Appleson was prowling like a cat over on this side just in front of us. He was just stalking the touch line, and when the ball did come here he had a lot of space to try and dance his way into it. Both teams have been impacted by the Aberdeen-Glasgow Hawks result this afternoon, because Glasgow Hawks losing means Edinburgh Accies can really go for it now, and Aberdeen are now hunting down Jed.
Absolutely, and it's a result that probably these two teams didn't expect, so maybe they've found out at half time that Aberdeen have managed to pull off a shock win, so things are going to get a little more aggressive, and tensions could be higher. So yeah, it's very vital that both teams one of the teams take advantage of it.
Hart on that side, he's just been brought down to ground from Russell. Matt Russell, the Edinburgh Rugby Academy player, playing starting his first game for JED-FOREST this afternoon. As Edinburgh Accies look to try and bring it forward, but has been dislodged. And it's bounced up almost well there, and there's a little cut there as Robbie Kent now looks to just try and show the defence a clean pair of heels, but Don Buckley gets an arm in there. Gregor Young as well is in there looking to try and hold up this ball, but not able to on this occasion. His troop finds Sol looking to just bounce off his right foot and go back in field and try and find a trailing arm and find a limb. Don't go to the trunks, go to the limbs, they say, which is what we've had to do driving recently in this stormy weather. And Looms finally gets back onto his hands on the ball and finds some broken field as he distributes over to that far side. They've now got to Hart looking to try and find Janes on that far side. He tries to put in the big fend, but he's been met well there by Ben McNeil. The ball has been knocked forward, but the referee is going to bring that back. And it's going to be a very challenging kick here for the Edinburgh Accies fly half. 5 points already so far this afternoon. They make that 8 because he has got another penalty to add to his tally so far this afternoon. And on the balance of play, the way the second half has gone so far, I think, well, both teams perhaps would be happy with the outcome there, because Edinburgh Accies, they have been threatening. And Edinburgh Accies looking to play out from their own 22 now. And they pass back inside their own 22, and Kent and Armstrong, who have been playing well in the centres this afternoon. And there was Armstrong there who managed to carry up, and it's just been shoved down the throat of Craig Cowan, and he's just went for it, going for gold there, just tucking the ball under, but he's been isolated there, and he just run into trouble. He went for it and tried to use brute force to barge his way through this white wall of Edinburgh Accies, but on that occasion he just isolated himself. The support couldn't get there in time, and Edinburgh Accies jackled that ball and managed to snuff it out.
Yeah, I think he needed to look back inside to Lewis Young, who was shouting on the ball there, but that was a good kick from Accies considering the wind, so it's obviously they've no fear of kicking the ball out of hand.
Very good display of kicking in challenging conditions from both teams as Edinburgh Accies get the play underway. Walker getting the ball away from the maul there, and Edinburgh Accies taking it straight into the guts of the JED-FOREST defence as Russell is just bounced off there by Looms, his opposite man. And Edinburgh Accies starting to get their tails up a little bit and starting to play a little bit more rugby as Armstrong has got the ball, manages to get the offload to Kent. Kent puts the boot to ball, and they've got a few chasers here, and JED-FOREST will be under a lot of pressure coming back to try and sweep up this ball, but they do really, really well turning round and managing to get that ball there, and they've also won the penalty, so good work on the floor from Lewis Young. And it's came back on a Jed side now. Gregor Young just picking from the side of that ruck and just looking to try and twist and turn his way out of trouble. Fortunately for him, the balls came back on a Jed side as Andrew Sweeney now, the replacement for Roth, looks to try and impose himself in the game and look to try and introduce himself and find some momentum here as it goes over to that far side, and Bambrick looking to try and make an impact as well. He's been relatively industrious, yet he's not made too much in terms of an impact because he's been working hard on his wing, but he's not had a lot of ball in hand. He's doing a lot of the chase work today as Russell looks to spread this a little bit wider, and Buckley looks to take it into the close quarters and wants more of a fight than to have the fancy rugby. But it's a good blend from JED-FOREST, who have got the ball in hand and are starting to build the phases and get a little bit more momentum in this fixture. Yeah,
again, they're starting to, as you say, they're starting to get more better ball here, and penalty here from Jed, and I'd like to think they'd go for the corner here and put the pressure on Accies and see what they've got, but that's good.
Difficult decision to be made because Gary Monroe could probably hit the town centre from here. Absolutely. But he's with the wind at his tail. But I think it looks like they're going to go for the corner, and Monroe will have to be accurate here, and the wind has caught that a little bit, but it has been a very, very promising kick there into the depths of the Edinburgh Accies 22. And in terms of territory, in terms of kicking, he's probably found the right balance. He's probably maximised distance with being as safe as possible, because any closer the wind could potentially just take that and carry that dead, and that's your opportunity and your advantage gone. but it is going to be a chance for Jedforest to try and strike and set up a platform here. And Law plucks the ball from there, but it has went back. The referee indicating to both teams that it has went back. And Craig Cowan now, try scorer earlier on in the day, looks to try and get his second, and he almost burrowed his way through, but Ben McNeil looked to come round the corner and guddled the ball. But it's going to be a quick tap there from Gillespie. He's not passing from this distance, and he throws the dummy. Paulo Ferreira looks to get his second, and the charges come now to try and add their weight to this push over, but not able to on this occasion. Paxton looks to go, he sneaks over the line. The big right arm there from Grant Paxton. The prop can do exactly the same as Paulo Ferreira, as Mucker in the front row. He gets the score, and Jedforest edge in front in this fixture.
Good try there from Jed. You knew when they got into the corner there this was danger zone. This is Jed's strongest point of the game, and Paulo Ferreira took about 4 men with him, so that gave Grant Paxton a one-on-one with the defender, and good try there from Grant.
And that's a great finish from Grant Paxton as Monroe looks to try and add the extras. He does exactly that. Harry Meadows is now on the field of play, replacing Paulo Ferreira, who probably gave his last little ounce of energy in the build-up to that Grant Paxton try. But Meadows is going to be tasked with he came straight on at this game, and in his entry is try and keep the momentum up in this scrum, because it's been something which Jed have found themselves in the ascendancy, and he's done just that. The refreshed prop, and Callum Reid at the back has to work hard to try and keep that ball, and it's been punched through there, and Robbie Kent has got a clean pair of spikes on there as it looks like he's being kicked back out the field of play, because Kent looked like he was ready to just dive on that ball and get another try, get his 7th try of the season. But he's been well defended as David Chang Ling and Rudy Campbell are going to have another conversation and just catch up, because it's been a good 10 minutes since they last spoke, and just explaining what they've seen there from that little stab through. And it looks like it's going to be a restart from the goal line, and Gary Monroe is quick to try and catch this Edinburgh Accies squad unawares, because he's just pumped that downfield over the halfway line with the wind at his back, and now it's going to have to be returned here. Ben Appleson throws that long loopy ball over to the stand side, and the referee said that was forward. I think from here it looked alright.
No, you got that one wrong. That was a very good pass there, but no, I think Jed can count themselves lucky that it was a dropout to begin with. I kind of felt Mason Cullen kicked out of play past the try line.
It's going to be a put in to the scrum for Jedforest as they look to try and protect this lead that they've got. It's certainly a tight game, and they've still got the upper hand in the scrum, and you can see the applause there from Darren Gillespie getting in the faces of some of these Edinburgh Accies players, still saying and airing his views to them. But that is what happens when you get the upper hand in the scrum. It's a very, it's a battle of macho men in the front row, and it's certainly something that you want to win the upper hand in, and that is a great kick from the penalty as well downfield. When your tail's up, and Darren Gillespie was just airing his views there.
Yeah, it's listen, this scrum is night and day from the Selkirk game, and it shows you how much it means to these boys to certainly have a dominant scrum, and having Gillespie in the forward there certainly make all the difference, and it might play on the Edinburgh Accies guys' minds.
19 points to 13 is the current score to Jedforest. They'll be well aware of what the task in hand is, with Aberdeen Grammar picking up a win against Glasgow Hawks earlier on in the day, which puts a completely different complexion on the foot of the table. It does turn it back into, I would say, a 10-team league, because for a while it was 9 teams, because everybody had kind of cut Grammar adrift. But a great performance for them against Glasgow Hawks, who have been flying high in the Premiership. And flying high at the tail of the line out is Gregor Law, because he's just plucked that there from the skies, and Finlay Scott is hunkered down at the back of this maul, and it's got a little bit of go forward. It's turning, it's pretty untidy, but it's over the line. Rudy Campbell hoists his hand in the air, he gives a score, and it looks like it has been Finlay Scott to get that score. And there's the bonus point, something which Jedforest have only got 2 so far this season, 2 try bonuses, make that 3. Now they need to see out the win.
Yeah, again, you find it hard to believe they've only had that many try bonuses bonus points. But yeah, that was crucial from Jed, and he knew that the ball wasn't going out in the box there. That was great work from Jed, a great controlled training ground move there.
JED-FOREST have been pretty flat and pretty unaware of the way that they're going to be playing, but today I've been made to eat my words because they've been excellent so far. 24 points to 13 they currently lead. Gary Monroe not able to add the extras from the conversion, but if they can keep this lead up, then I'm sure they will not worry a jot about that kick. But they've got to try and see this game out now. They've got the 4 tries. Can they make it a win as well and turn that into a 5-point bonus point victory, as Edinburgh Accies are now having to strike from deep, and it's Callum Reid, and he bundles off the first player, and then he's been met with some stern defence by the JED-FOREST back line there. And they've now set up as Edinburgh Accies. They've got space up on this far side, but Robbie Kent did guddle the ball in midfield, but the referee is going to bring that back for a penalty, and I don't think Jed will mind too much into the wind. Edinburgh Accies have got to try and kick out from their own half, but this is, after a slow start to the second half, Jed have grown and grown as a team over the last 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, I think Jed are quite happy to see what Edinburgh Accies have to offer in attack. I think they're quite happy to meet them, and it seems as though there's still a couple of decent ball carriers in the Accies team, Callum Reid, but I feel that Looms has kind of went out the game for the first 20 minutes, the first half, and he seems to be a key guy in the Accies offence, so it's maybe Jed are just shutting him down.
I totally agree. He's been pretty quiet in the I'd say the middle section of his game, but it is that man Looms with his hands on the ball. He's found Kent. Kent's got a runner up this side. Appleton's crying out for that ball. But again, his shirt is still pristine white along with his shorts, because he's not had a lot of ball in hand this afternoon. The winger, who's very, very dangerous. I'm always very nervous of a winger with his socks down when he looks to try and stab the ball through, but it's came to Don Buckley and he's kicked it downfield. Has found a little bit of turf down here because there's no Edinburgh Accies players gathering back, but it's Neil Armstrong who's gathered the ball over to the 10 metre line. He looks for an aggressive carry, and now Sol looks to try and fend off the attempt there from Ben McNeil. A big paw in the face. He does well to cling on, and good defence there. Again, that's Jack Howe who got his shoulder in there, and Edinburgh Accies looking to try and build the structure and the phases and trying to earn the right to encroach this JED-FOREST defence. But so far they've only beaten it once through Neil Armstrong, who got the opening try of the game. After that, on paper certainly, it has been all Jed. But Looms now just picks up the ball from the ruck out the back door. It's not found a hand there. It's went forward, a knock on there, and again good Jed defence
again, yeah. And it's clearly showing Accies are getting frustrated. They're trying things. That was about 8 or 9 phases there, and this could hardly break through the Jed defence, so it's a huge credit.
And now Callum Reid, he's put in a big shift for Edinburgh Accies without much reward, but there's a little gap there, and Robbie Kent just running into that little tight gap, but he's been defended well again by JED-FOREST, and the balls came back to Ben McNeil. Ben McNeil has found a runner there, and JED-FOREST look to just set up and secure this ball as Monroe ambles towards the ruck now, and Darren Gillespie now, and he passes out wide. Good skill set from the back row. Obviously a great experience as the Youngs link up in midfield as well. A little cut in midfield from the twins, and now Paxton playing with a lot of confidence after his try this afternoon, and Gary Monroe just recycling the ball to Russell, who's brought a little bit of structure and a little bit of direction to this JED-FOREST play, you would say. He's certainly been a good link between the forwards and the backs, as McNeil links well there. There's a good play with Finlay Campbell, who's recycled himself well off the shoulder. And Monroe again keeping the tempo high even in these dying stages. Gillespie finds Law. Law's got the ball over there to the far side, and it's passed back in field to Gregor Young. Gregor Young gets the ball down, and that's another score there for JED-FOREST. You can see all the players going in and congratulating the captain, and you would say that's the cherry on top of the cake here.
Yeah, again, great try on a day like this to produce hands like that. It's outstanding from these boys. These boys are a different machine here today. It's so positive the way they're playing. They're looking to offload. They're trying to break the line, and the passes is just crisp, and it's refreshing.
Edinburgh Accies look like they're going to be put to the sword, and JED-FOREST are going to avenge the 45 point to 19 defeat on September the 11th when the two teams met in what was their opening fixture. So JED-FOREST are going to win this battle as Gary and Monroe just punts that back downfield and says, right, have it again, try and come from deep, but it bobbles out to the field of play, and again things just aren't going. They aren't getting the bounce of the ball, but after a very bright start for Edinburgh Accies, JED-FOREST have no doubt been the better team of the two. Edinburgh Accies 10 looks to try and play in glimpses and starts and fits, because he's certainly showed he's got an arsenal of weaponry, but he's not been able to show it for the full 80, as again he just passes out the back door to Kent. Kent has now found Hart, who's found Soul over in the wing. He's brushed off another defender there, and he's taken, I think, Finlay Campbell for a little piggyback back to the line as well. I think that was perhaps Jack Howe actually, who was on his on Jimmy Soul's back, and it's a knock on there. That is scrappy from Cameron Bain, who had the opportunity to try and just punch the ball up, not able to on that occasion, but that is going to be the last play of the game, and it is JED-FOREST who win the game 29 points to 13, and Jed need to build on this. They need to build on this, and their next game is Glasgow Hawks, who got beat by Aberdeen Grammar this afternoon. So building on this, that is a very difficult fixture, because they're away to Glasgow Hawks, who'll be looking for a response for their defeat. Yeah,
you know what Glasgow Hawks are going to bring on their own ground. This was a good win for Jed, but again at the same time Hawks felt they've been kind of robbed today against Aberdeen, so they'll be looking for revenge. So next week, listen, you don't know what you're going to get weather-wise in Glasgow. If it's a rainy day, it's going to be a slog, but if you get a day like today that you've had at Jed, then you know there's no reason why these Jed boys can't turn over Hawks and, you know, bring themselves up the table again. But what a great win, you know, against third placed Edinburgh Accies, who've looked pretty solid all season. They have to be very proud of themselves today, and all it took was just a bit of an honesty talk at the start of the week from some boys, and they just looked a totally different team today, and it looked like they played like a team instead of individually, which I feel is very key in the Premiership.
And it is JED-FOREST who beat Edinburgh Accies by 29 points to 13 on Borders Rugby TV. So Callum, obviously a disappointing defeat, but you came into the blocks really, really quick and got off to a good start with a 10-point lead.
Yeah, I think our intention was just to come at Jed. It's always a really tough place to come and play. I think we sort of let ourselves down set piece-wise early doors, much to sort of my own areas in that front, but like credit to Jed, they sort of fronted up at the beginning and just sort of came back into it from there.
They put you under a lot of pressure, both when they had the ball in hand and obviously when you had the ball in hand as well defensively, and in the end it's quite a heavy defeat. It's something which is a bit of a surprise in terms of the way that the league standings are. I
think the beauty this year of the league is the fact that everybody's got a chance of knocking everybody. So I think you've got to give credit to Jed today in the way that they performed, and the outcome reflected that for them. We've got to look at ourselves and see if we want to just sit where we are, or if we want to kick on and really contest what we think we can do.
So obviously next week is a big game. Musselburgh is a team that beat you earlier on in the season, and you play them at home. And after the weekend's fixtures where Glasgow Hawks got beat as well, you really need to start taking advantage of these points to be in the mix come the end of the season.
Absolutely, I don't think there's any game that we can go into and not come away with points. And today, for example, was definitely a target that we had, was to come away with some points there. But unfortunately, it wasn't our day. But definitely over the next coming weeks, we'll sort of climb into it and see what we can do.
So Gary, obviously a great result. It was looking quite dubious at the start because you went down 10 points to 0 at the start of the game.
Started kind of how we want to start. We usually come out quite slow, and it's usually we get a try against us and our heads go down and then points start racking up, but we got out early and got a nice early score, so kind of kept control of the game. And
it's good to get a bonus point victory as well. 5 tries, 1 from a back, but 4 from the forwards. It's something that's been quite few and far between for Jed this season.
It's been a few coming for the last week. We had a few tries disallowed. They could have had a bonus point last week, but it's good to finally get an extra point.
And playing at 9, obviously, with a little reshuffle, a great performance, controlled it from start to finish. Do you feel more comfortable at 9-10, or are you just happy to play wherever?
I'll just play anywhere. As long as I'm on the pitch, I'm not bothered really.
And then next week's a big game. Glasgow Hawks got beat by Aberdeen Grammar, obviously this afternoon. And to build on this performance, Glasgow Hawks will be coming out like all guns blazing next week. So
same as last time we played them. They're a tough opponent, but kind of got pipped at the last. We got a disallowed try against them. We could have maybe got the win, but that'll be a tough game up there.
So where do you go now in terms of your season? What did JED-FOREST want to do in terms of the rest of the campaign?
Just keep racking the points up, getting wins. Just playing some good rugby, get back to enjoying it. You know, usually in a Jed shirt you're spreading the ball about and you're scoring some tries, and I think we've kind of gotten away from that, and we've kind of got try to beat teams going up the jumper. Maybe it's not really the Jed way to play, so just get the smiles on the faces and get a few wins.
So a much needed win for JED-FOREST surely gives them some confidence for next week's game. Next week we're off to Philip Hogg for Selkirk versus Hogg. I hope you can join us then, but for now, cheerio.